We've killed more Muslims than they've killed us by an awful lot. We've invaded more Muslims.
I am not for more killing.
An awful lot. And yet somehow we're exempted from these things because they're not really a reflection of what we believe in. We did by accident. That's why we invaded Iraq and put 4 million people.
We're not convincing anybody.
It's not.
Here's another throwback to Ben Affleck owning Sam Harris.
And about women, about homosexuals that are deeply troubling. So these are not Islamists, they're not jihadists, but they
those views are anathema to ours.
But they also keep women and homosexuals immiserated in these cultures, and we have to empower the true reformers in the Muslim world to change it. And lying about the link between doctrine and behavior is not going to do that.
But the Great Divide. The Great Divide is not between Islam and the rest. It's rather between the fundamentalists and the moderates in each faith.
Okay, but we're misled to think that the fundamentalists are the fringe. Okay, we have jihadists, Islamists, and conservatives.
Well, and by the way,
it depends hundreds of millions of people fit that description.
You're saying that the strongest voices are coming from those who are jihadists and extremists, and that represents a bigger piece of the pie than we often think is true.
There's no question.
Okay, so having said that, and if even if that is true statistically or otherwise, the key thing to recognize that I don't think is part of the argument, but I think should be, is that there are voices that are oftentimes raised in opposition to these jihadists and to these extreme acts. But guess what? They don't get covered. They don't get exposed. And they're not given the same level of platform that we see the jihadists.
One reason they don't get exposed is because they're afraid to speak out. Because it's the only religion that acts like the mafia that will fucking kill you if you say the wrong thing, draw the wrong picture, or write.
Yeah, dude. Famously, the only religion that acts like the mafia and kills you is Islam. Okay? Yeah. Brother, your refusal to understand nuance in this conversation is leading you down this illogical pathway of thinking. Okay? This is why I harbor a lot of resentment for Islamophobic r/atheist guys, the militant atheists. Okay? Not only historically have Christians done that, but they still continue to fucking do that. What are we talking about? When Israel claims they're doing it for Judaism, they're also, I don't agree. I don't believe that they're doing it for Judaism, just as much as I don't believe ISIS has anything to do with Islam. Okay? But Bill Maher, on the other hand, does think that that's appropriate and good. Okay? Same with George W. Bush saying he invaded, God told him to invade Afghanistan with a shit ton of, very far-right Christian generals who wanted to dip their bullets in pig's blood. Okay? Do you track that as a radical Christian act? You don't. And the people that say they do are lying because they want to win that fucking argument. Because when you live in a dominant Christian culture, you have the capacity to understand and separate fundamentalism from the acts of like the everyday average Christians. That's the difference.
Write the wrong book.
So you do have,
there's a reason why Ayaan Hirsi Ali needs bodyguards 24/7.
You do have that element of fear as well, but you also have other braver souls out there who do speak out.
Ayaan Hirsi Ali, another grifter who's now a Christian, by the way, Christian convert, Ayaan Hirsi Ali,
and who who are risking their lives to do that.
like the Muslim clerics and others from Australia to Europe to the United States just recently publicly put their names on paper declaring their opposition to what ISIS and others are doing. So there are those voices, but where was the coverage? Where was that story to sort of create a different picture?
Well, what is your solution? What is your ask?
No, the solution is very much what
we've killed more Muslims than they've killed us by an awful lot. We've invaded more Muslims.
I am not for more killing.
An awful lot. And yet somehow we're exempted from these things because they're not really a reflection of what we believe in. We did by accident. That's why we invaded Iraq and put 4 million people.
We're not convincing anybody.
It's not this. I'm specifically telling you that I disagree with what you think.
I know, and we're obviously not convincing anybody of you.
You don't understand my argument.
Your argument is like, black people, they show each other.
That is not my argument.
No, it's not. It's based on facts. I can show you a Pew poll of Egyptians. They are not outliers in the Muslim world that say like 90% of them believe death is the appropriate response to leaving the religion. If 90% of Brazilians Christians thought that death was the appropriate response to leaving Catholicism, you would think it was a bigger deal.
I would think it's a big deal no matter what.
Okay, but that's the fact.
But what I wouldn't do is say it's all Brazilians, or I wouldn't say, well, Ted Bundy did this. Goddamn, these gays are all trying to eat each other. You know?
Okay, let me just give you what you want. There are hundreds of millions of Muslims who are nominal Muslims, who don't take the faith seriously, who don't want to kill apostates, who are horrified by ISIS, and we need to defend these people, prop them up, and let them reform.
Dude, you're talking.
Dude, apostates. That was a early relic. That was an early relic of the post 9/11 Islamophobia that r/atheists always love talking about. All these Muslims want to kill apostates. Yeah, I think it's got to be because I think it came from the fact that like so many ex-Muslim people that became like r/atheism dipshits were wanted to like heighten their importance. So I think like they presented their worldview as like, no, every single Muslim will like immediately kill you if you leave the religion. I think that's what it is. Like, because I don't know where the fuck this came from. And I know people will say, it's the religion, sweetie. It's like, no, that's not really like, that's not really a commonly shared opinion. Yeah, see, Turks in the chat saying that they're embarrassed, but they did that as well. A lot of r/atheists like Turks and former Muslims or people who grew up in Muslim countries that don't like Islam oftentimes play this very formative role in shaping people's understanding of it, not realizing that it like, you know, contributes to their own personal dehumanization. Yeonmi Parks, all of them.
ISIS couldn't fill a AA ballpark in Charleston, West Virginia, and you were making a career out of talking about ISIS.
But no, it's not just ISIS. It's all jihadists. It's global. It's a phenomenon of global jihad.
I think that's the opposite.
There is those things. There's ISIS. There's global jihadists. The question is the degree to which you're willing to say, because I've
global jihadists, dude. What a time to be alive, dude. I mean, look, this is why I sometimes say we're back, but we're not as back as we were. You know what I mean? Do you understand? Like, things are this bad, but I don't know. Aesthetically speaking, it's not this level. Like, things are bad, but it still hasn't hit this level, I think. It will get there, though, when Trump is in office.
Witness this behavior, which we all object to on the part of these people. I'm willing to...
These people are talking about takfir, which is basically excommunication, but that phrase isn't mentioned in the Quran, nor is it supported by many Islamic scholars. It's seen as an Islamic militant thing. No, dude, you don't understand. Everyone's always killing people for leaving the religion, famously.
Flatly condemn those of you I don't know and have never met.
No,
this is
not
based
condemning
on
people. It's ideas. You've got to make
and people who believe in those ideas.
So it's those people who believe in
based on reality, Ben. We're not making it up. That in the Muslim world, it is mainstream belief.
But this is such a caricature of Indonesia, of Malaysia,
okay, wait a minute.
So much of the world. And this does have the tinge a little bit of the way white racists talk about African Americans and define blacks by.
But what you're saying is because they are a minority, we shouldn't criticize.
That much of a minority, the second biggest religion in the world.
Exactly, but you're treating them like a minority. I mean, if Filipinos were capturing teenagers and sending them into white slavery, we would criticize that. We wouldn't say, well, they're Filipinos.
Criticize the people who are doing it, not the Philippines. You know what I mean?
Well, what if the people...
As a Filipino kid lives down the street from you, would have nothing to do with that. So these are different things, crazy
racial
people.
Stereotyping.
I think it goes...
Let's talk... We mentioned ISIS. Let's talk about that.
Fucking own. That part was great. The greatest defender of all time, Bill Maher, against his Islamophobic tendencies will forever be, and I hate to give this to him because he's very different now, Glenn Greenwald. That Ben Affleck clip is great, but Glenn Greenwald on Bill Maher, if anyone has the clip, is a classic one. I used to play it all the time.
It's not our fault what came out. We didn't go into Egypt.
Well, we
wound up with the Muslim Brotherhood.
We didn't go into Egypt. We were supporting and propping up Mubarak for 30 years, even as we were cheering for all the Tahrir Square demonstrators as though we were on their side. It was our government that kept Mubarak in power, just like we've done across the entire Muslim world. And it's amazing for you to say that, well, look at all these Muslims. The minute you give them a little bit of freedom, they go wild and they start being all violent. How can you be a citizen of the United States, the country that has generated more violence and militarism in the world over the last 5 or 6 decades and say, look at those people over there, they are incredibly violent. We play a significant role in what has been happening in the Middle East because we've been interfering and dominating that region in order to have access to the oil.
I wasn't talking about violence, I was talking about theocracy. That doesn't happen here.
No, well, okay, that doesn't happen here, but at the same time, Iran isn't invading lots of other countries and occupying them for a decade, nor are fundamentalist Muslim countries the way the United States is. So these things are interlinked because we are continuously interfering in that part of the world. And so to say...
Really, it's all our fault?
It's not all our fault, but when you send your military for 6 straight decades into other countries to bomb them, kill their children and women and innocent men, prop up dictators, yeah, you take responsibility for your actions and say, to the extent that that region...
That religion goes back 1,000 years before our revolution, so I don't think we can take all...
This is so unimaginably racist because Islam in its golden age literally carried water for history continuing. Islam in its golden age led to many inventions that we take for fucking granted. Islam in its golden age is the reason why so many important academic materials were preserved. So he literally automatically, with his racist ass, white supremacist ass, Islamophobic ass, unironically just goes, oh, this is 1,000 years. Like, shut the fuck up, you stupid ass bitch. Do you enjoy math? Okay, well, you know, thank the Islamic golden age, dumb fuck.
All the blame.
I don't think we should. I think we should take a lot of it. And there's lots of bodies and corpses that have been piled up in the name of Christianity and Judaism as well.
Not recently.
Have you heard of the occupation of the West Bank and Gaza for the last 50 years, motivated in part by extremist views of Judaism, or the wars in Europe, or the fact that there were generals in the United States saying we have to go and invade and destroy Iraq, a country of 26 million people, because our God is bigger? Lots of religions, not just Islam, produce violence.
Well, if I could just make one quick point about Egypt.
That silly liberal view that all religions are alike because it makes you feel good.
No, it makes you feel
good. Dude. He fucking cooked his ass so hard today, okay? And I will forever be understanding.
Good to say our side is better. Those people over there are
feel
primitive
good to
and
put
violent.
a crown on your head and say, I'm a good person. How do I prove that?
You get to ignore the responsibility that your own government has for the violence and instability in the world by saying, look, it's that primitive religion over there that's to blame.
At least there was a moment in time that I respected Glenn Greenwald. There's never been such a moment for fucking Bill Maher. That's my point. I guess I was too young to know and appreciate his immediate takes after 9/11. So as long as I've known myself, I have despised him. His career has just been a sequence of fucking L's downstream post that moment of moral clarity. Anyway, so yeah, people are yelling at Joe Rogan saying he's a dragon defender for a fucking clip from 2019. How stupid. All right, let's hear what Benjamin Netanyahu, what it looks like. What is this?
You know, when Bush was trying to gain international support for the invasion of Iraq, he met the French president, Chirac, and well, I'll tell you how I learned about this and then tell you what the story is. Around that time, I got a letter from a Belgian theologian who sent me a disquisition that he wrote on a very obscure passage in the book of Ezekiel about Gog and Magog coming and doing terrible things to Israel. Nobody knows what it means. Are they people? Are they places? It's just a very obscure passage. But in a stream of evangelical theology, this means an evil force will come from the north, attack Israel, lead to Armageddon, then all these things happen. Well, what happened with Bush and Chirac? Bush apparently started, this is January 2003, right before the war, he went off and started talking to Chirac about Gog and Magog. Chirac didn't know what the heck he was talking about. Sure. So he asked the Élysée, the French Foreign Office, what's this guy raving about? They didn't know. So they contacted this Belgian theologian who explained to them what it's about. I learned about this at the time, but I didn't believe a word of it, so I never wrote about it. But I did mention it to an Australian academic, a researcher, Clive Hamilton, and he looked into it And it's true. It shows up in the French biographies of Chirac. Well, this tells us that, speaking of the dangers we face, our fate is sometimes in the hands of people who are, by any rational standards, hard to believe. And it's not the only case. Actually, Reagan talked about Russia as Gog and Magog.
Well, we seem to be having a little trouble in our relations with.
Yeah.
Despite predicting that Trump will definitely lose, Bill Maher had a pointed message after Trump's win. On the episode titled Real Time Self-Reflection, Losers, Look in the Mirror, Bill Maher said in his monologue, "In the aftermath of the loss, Democrats have been quick to assign blame. Members of Kamala Harris's team faulted Joe Biden for waiting too long to bow out, while others argued he would have been a stronger nominee, which was definitely incorrect. Critics accused the party of leaning too far left, while Senator Bernie Sanders claimed they alienated working-class voters by shifting to the center. Meanwhile, Donald Trump secured his largest vote share yet, ending a 20-year streak of Republican popular vote losses. Facts are facts. Trump won all 7 swing states. He ran a table." Maher said. He won so decisively that today he called Georgia's Secretary of State and asked him to lose him 11,000 votes. Maher also took aim at new voters in Trump's coalition, joking that their curiosity about Trump's antics resembles the Get the Cat High crowd. Exit polls showed he got 52% of white women, and yes, he also got their votes. Maher quipped, referencing Trump's infamous Access Hollywood tape. For months, Democrats kept asking, "How is this even close?" And they were right it wasn't, said Maher, who had previously said Trump would definitely lose. They couldn't imagine a second Trump, but they should have. When does America ever say no to seconds? Said Bill Maher. If you found this video interesting, then make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this, and thanks for watching.